Let's imagine that you are able to travel anywhere in the world that you've ever wanted to go, and you've always dreamed of seeing Mount Everest. So you book your flight, you book your hotel with a view of Mount Everest, and you arrive and you fling open the windows. What do you think you see?
Snow.
It's not snow, it's not cloudy, it's not dark, it's not a car park. There are no trick questions.
You see Mount Everest.
You see Mount Everest. Do you see something that looks a bit like this? Because the trouble is, Mount Everest is in the Himalayas. It's a mountain range. And you don't know if it's this one, which is nearer, so it looks bigger, or if it's that one that's further away, so it looks smaller. But you also get the chance to go to Australia and see Uluru, Ayers Rock, and you book your flight, you book your hotel, and you get there and you fling open the windows. What do you think you see?
A
rock.
A rock.
A red rock.
Correct.
Oh, in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. That's exactly what it looks like. I've been there. It's a dirty great red rock sticking out of a flat red desert. And although Uluru is a lot smaller than Mount Everest, the impact is a lot greater because it's different from its surroundings. So you might be the biggest and best in the whole world, but if you present yourself to the world in the same way that everybody else does, nobody's going to notice. After today, you'll know how to be Uluru, not Everest, in your marketing communications. I'm going to show you this next piece of flip chart for 3 seconds, and your task is to count how many red dots you see. So get yourself in a place where you can see the flip chart clearly. Are you ready? Okay. Right. How many green dots were there?
8.
8. Any advance on 8? Don't know.
7.
7.
6.
6.
5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
How many red dots were there?
7.
7. So most people think there were 8. The answer was, I'll find the page again, there were in fact 8 of each colour. But what happened was that in our daily life we get more mental input and stimulation from marketing messages and other communications than our grandparents did in a lifetime. And the human brain can't cope with it all. So the human brain filters out anything that's not relevant. Now, I asked you to look for red dots, and you were very obediently were counting the red dots, which meant that your brain was filtering out the other colours that weren't relevant. Therefore, if you are producing marketing communications, they actually have to be really laser targeting relevant to the reader, otherwise their brains will just filter it out and your message will be lost in the noise. What you need to do is draw 3 parallel rows of 3 dots. And when you're ready, in 4 straight lines, without taking your pen off the paper, go through each dot once and once only. I'll say that again. In 4 straight lines, without taking your pen off the paper, go through each dot once and once only. If you know the answer, do it in 2 straight lines. So here's the answer. This exercise is the origin of the expression to think outside the box. What's happening is, due to Gestalt psychology, your brain is filling in the blanks and it imagines there's a box here within which most people try and solve the problem. But the only way to solve the problem is to go outside the box that you've imagined. Now, in this exercise, there are only 4 elements. You've got dots, you've got lines, you've got paper, you've got a pen, and this imaginary box. In real life, there are an awful lot more parameters that you can play with, because the point of this exercise is, don't imagine there are rules when it comes to your marketing that don't really exist. There are other ways of solving the problem while we're at it, for all of you that know the answer to how to do it in 4 straight lines, because this is how to do it in 3 straight lines. What other elements did I say there are to play with?
Pen.
Pen, paper. All right, so let's do it with the pen. Let's have, or play with the dots, really big dots. because I didn't say how close together or far apart they had to be. And then you can do it in 3 straight lines. You can do the same thing with tiny dots and a big fat pen. What other elements have we got? We played with the dots, we played with the pen. Paper. Okay, I'll start again. And we've got the line. Before I do paper, I'll play with the line. This one is really mean, but it's probably my favourite, and when I show you it, you'll know why. So the guidelines were, go through all the dots this time in 3 straight lines without taking your pen off the paper.
Mm-hmm. 3 straight lines.
3 straight lines. So I've changed the line
Yeah.
into words. Okay, paper. What can we do with the paper?
Fold it.
Fold it. Actually, when we start playing with the paper, you can go through all of them in 1 straight line at the same time by going like this. I might need an assistant in a minute. And then, can I borrow you, Leanne, just to hold that there? Your fingertip.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like this. And then if you imagine I have one big paintbrush, you can go through it in 1 straight line. The same thing you can do is tear it, because that's the other thing you can do with paper. And then tear this bit. I need 2 assistants for this, so if you hold that bit there,
Oh.
and Dave, if you hold that bit there, you can see you can go through all 9 dots in 1 straight line without taking your pen off the paper. Thank you to my glamorous assistants.